Hey folks, this is Kelani. Just as I was starting to worry that the public test realm might be moving a little too slowly, the dev team pushed through another large build, which gives us access to a whole bunch of content, including the new Mechagon dungeon. We'll have to put that one to the side for just a bit because the main chunk of new content that I want to preview for you right now is the brand new zone of Nazjatar. Now, if you remember, we'll be getting 2 new zones in patch 8.2. We already had a pretty good look at Mechagon and everything there is to do there, but Mechagon is very much a side zone when compared to Nazjatar. Nazjatar is going to be the big zone with a lot more to keep you occupied, and it's going to be where the next chapter of our Battle for Azeroth story unfolds. So what are we waiting for? Let's delve down into Nazjatar and see what this zone is all about. So I said this was going to be the big zone of patch 8.2, and I wasn't kidding. Mechagon is fairly small when all is said and done, but Nazjatar is actually pretty large. When you get down here you can see a huge tidal wave wall. That's the ocean being held back by the power of the Tidestone. So we're actually surrounded by water, but my main point here is that the water wall is the outer edge of the zone. You can run up to the wall on every side. On some sides you can actually get past the wall, but I assume that's not entirely intended. So from this vantage point you can already see that we've got a lot of space to work with here. I think the art team has done an amazing job with this zone. Some of the areas are absolutely gorgeous. It really pays off to just take a moment and look around, especially up. We don't look up enough, and Nazjatar has some great scenery that you might miss if you're just staring at the floor all day. There are various sub-areas sprinkled about, so we have plenty of variety as we move from one area to the next. We have a ship graveyard. This is probably where we come down into Nazjatar initially. Lots of stuck, broken, and otherwise stranded ships here, which makes for a really cool environment, and the two factions aren't too far apart either, so that should be some fun on war mode servers. After a little tussle back and forth, each faction will find their new little home in these watery lands. The Horde will be hanging out with the Unshackled faction in New Home. Don't blame the natives, okay? Some of them can barely communicate as it is, so we're lucky our New Home has a name at all. This hub is mainly an outcropping and a cave, and even though it may seem a little patched together, it is rather homey, especially for the Horde. It serves its purpose. On the other side we have the Alliance. They'll be bunking with the Ankoan in their camp of Mesamir. This is a bit more of an encampment when compared to the Horde, and they even have some Night Elf ruins to make use of. Neither of these hubs are particularly large, but then again the races that were helping down here haven't been all too successful in the past. Going against Azshara was supporting some ragtag leftovers in Nazjatar, so they're lucky we arrived when we did. Outside of the hubs we have a few places to explore. The coral forests change things up quite a bit by adding in a lot of pink to your surroundings. You can find all manner of coral-like creatures in here, and where some of the coolest earliest screenshots of Nazjatar came from. But there's so much more. There are a variety of Naga camps which all look pretty cool, but most of them are at least a bit different as well. We'll actually be working with one of the Naga camps in the usual undercover kind of way. If you go deep enough you can also find what appears to be a birthing area for the Naga. This cave in particular is a neat concept with the glowing tendrils coming down from the ceiling and the eggs adorning the walls. You can even poke a few of them, though it doesn't seem to really do much right now, or it might be tied to some hidden event. Maybe if you pop all of the poppable eggs, a special rare will spawn. I guess we'll find out eventually. There's also an area where the Naga are playing around with the void, a little too much if you ask me, but then again their queen is literally in cahoots with the only old god left that we know of, so I guess we shouldn't really be surprised. There's a lot to explore for sure, and with rares and world quests playing a large part in this zone, you're probably going to be sent here, there and everywhere, but I think one of the most unique things about Nazjatar is that it's not just a flat zone. They make good use of verticality, and while this does mean you can fall to your death easily in some areas, you'll probably find a really cool cave while you're at it. I also think it's going to be an amazing zone to fully explore when we gain access to flying, which shouldn't be all too long after the patch goes live. Apparently flying should only take 2 to 3 weeks to obtain, so we should have it fairly quickly. I will say that I've gotten lost once or twice trying to work out which path leads where, but with the zone looking as incredible as it does, I can't really be all too mad. We discovered half of the cool stuff we run upon by accident, so there you go. The zone also encourages you to explore. There are plenty of caves scattered around, some of them underwater and some of them on the drier parts of land, with rares and treasures inside, so you're often rewarded for going off the beaten path. There are also a whole bunch of consumables you can collect which provide you with a variety of buffs. Some give you a damage reduction buff, others give you poison but will give you a damage boost at the same time, and there are even these arcane pillar things. If you activate one, a few motes will spew out, and when they turn red, you can pick them up. Each mote gives you a haste and damage boost that stacks for every mote you collect. You can get this up to like 20 stacks sometimes. That can end up as a hefty buff if you can snatch them all before they disappear. You can also find unique quest items that drop from rares or treasures that take you on a little scavenger hunt. These seem to explain how certain activities work in the zone, like mining special gems with a special pickaxe. I guess if you come across that pickaxe again, you know how to complete the event and you'll be rewarded again and again for it. There's a few other things that I found which are very similar: empowering crystals to create random elementals that you have to destroy, or baiting special fish out of special ponds by using chum and other lures. We even found a treasure trail quest which leads to new treasure chest type world quests for you to do every day. These chest quests reuse some of the previous minigames we've seen, like Uncross the Wires and Bejeweled, but they work really well as minor world quests. I've been having a lot of fun with those ones at any rate. Speaking of world quests, they're supposed to be a pretty huge deal in Nazjatar. We were told the dev team is trying to change it up by introducing special world quests which change how certain areas are set up, relating to monsters and barricades and all that good stuff. I did notice that one of the world quest rares was surrounded, and I mean surrounded, by elite monsters, but sneaking around the back and pulling the required mob off to the side seemed to be a bit too easy right now, so those guards really aren't doing their job. I'm excited to see what other changes they make to world quests to make them feel more involving and interactive, but for now it's the usual activities that will help us on our way to Exalted with the new reps down here. I did find it really cool that completing the treasure trail quest opened up more world quests for us though. That was a really nice touch. We do have a few other daily activities we can take part in as well, including the return of old-style daily quests. You'll be able to return to Nazjatar every day to pick up 3 different tasks which will help out your newfound friends. Whether it's collecting shells, grubs and flowers, or just killing some pesky naga, you'll get a little reward for your trouble and some all-important reputation. I actually really like having a designated area to pick up daily quests and someone to hand them back into. I know world quests are all super efficient and whatnot because you don't have to talk to anyone before you go out, and you more or less hand them in immediately after you complete them, but it just felt satisfying accepting a handful of tasks and then returning later on with all of them completed. There's a reason it worked for so many years, I guess, and it's partially back in Nazjatar. Besides reputation, which is going to be very important for a few reasons, we'll also be collecting a new currency as we explore Nazjatar and help out our new faction. The new currency has changed a few times so far, but right now it's called Prismatic Mana Pearls. These Mana Pearls are used to purchase all manner of goodies from the faction quartermasters, including powerful essences for the Heart of Azeroth, new mount, battle pets and the zone catch-up gear, as well as the gear upgrades. If you get enough mana pearls, you can kit yourself out in full 430 item level gear, so these are definitely something you're going to want to collect. A handful of world quests reward them every day, and then collecting various items that you can turn into the Ancient Relic vendor will also reward you with a handful of mana pearls. I'm sure this isn't fully fleshed out yet, and we'll have other sources of the mana pearls, including rares, treasure chests, daily activities and what have you. It's the basic main currency of this new zone. We're still in early days, so when we have a better idea of how we can farm this currency, I'll be sure to make another video and let you know. Another cool little addition is the new followers down in Nazjatar. I know what you might be thinking already, oh gosh, not another round of followers, I hate the mission table. Well, stay with me, don't tune out just yet. These followers aren't tied to the mission table at all. They're all bodyguards actually, and you can hire one of them at any time for an hour. They stay with you as long as your buff lasts, and there's no cooldown, so whenever your fellow has had enough and decides to ditch you, you can just go right back to the little recruitment area and tell him his job isn't quite done yet, you still have a few more world quests to go. There's a melee DPS, a caster DPS, and a tanky follower for both the Horde and the Alliance, And they start off with some pretty basic abilities. As you complete tasks with your bodyguard, including bodyguard specific daily quests, which change depending on which bodyguard you have, they'll start leveling up and gaining new abilities to make them more useful out in the field. It's another progression path that you can take part in if you want to, and it also means you never have to explore the ruins of Nazjatar by yourself, which is definitely good news for all those healer mains out there who don't like to DPS. Nazjatar also has completely different resources when compared to the mainland of Zandalar and Kulturas. You won't find any monolite ore down here, but you will find osmanite ore. There's a new metal ore, a new herb, a new type of cloth, and new leather and scales to skin from the monsters down here. To go along with all of these new raw materials, there are new profession recipes to actually make use of them. I know the last time this happened on Argus we had lots of raw materials and practically nothing to do with them, but this time is different. There's a new round of crafted gear, new potions and flasks, new enchants, epic gems, and everything else you could want. It's almost a mini reset on the professions market. And for all you PvPers out there, I know there's a few all the way in the back. Yeah, you with the hands up, you'll be happy to know that Nazjatar has a few PvP objectives as well. Every so often, the entire zone will turn into a mini battleground with both a time limit and a points meter. You get points by killing players with the opposite faction and their soldiers, and by holding the special PvP locations marked on the map. I'm pretty sure this only triggers in war mode servers, so if you want to take part in this, you're going to have to make sure your war mode is toggled on. There's also another currency tied to war mode in Nazjatar, the Nazjatar Battle Commendations. I guess they didn't want a cool new name. These are awarded to players who ignore the greater good and keep fighting amongst themselves. They can be used to purchase Heart of Azeroth essences, a few toys, and one of the new Seahorse mounts. Hopefully some other goodies will join those on the vendor. And of course, Nazjatar also has a good chunk of story quests which eventually lead up to us bashing down the doors of Azshara's Eternal Palace. Or the door might just be left open for us. That can't ever end up in a trap or anything like that, surely not. The raid is going to open up a few weeks after the patch goes live, so we won't have to wait too long to take the fight to Queen Azshara for real. And that's all for the Nazjatar zone right now. I don't want to spoil too much here, so I just wanted to look at things as an overall preview. Personally, I love the zone and think it's going to work very well alongside Mechagon in patch 8.2. We get both of the new zones at the same time, so you're going to have to choose which one to visit and explore first, but we'll all have plenty to do in both of these zones when the patch finally hits live servers. What do you think of Nazjatar from what you've seen so far? Do you think we'll have enough to keep us busy until the new raid comes out? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.